All right, strap yourselves in, because today we are diving deep into Penelope Sky's Beauty in Lingerie.
The second book in her lingerie series.
Yeah, and you guys have sent in
Excuse
some
me.
really, really great stuff from Goodreads and
Yeah.
some community
It's
reviews.
going to be spicy.
Let me tell you, things are going to get interesting.
What's great about this deep dive is we're not just scratching the surface.
Right.
We're really going to look at what people are saying about it.
Okay.
Those reviews, those passionate opinions.
Yeah.
What makes this book tick?
So, first things first.
Yes.
What is the story about?
Beauty in Lingerie throws us back into the intense world of Conway Barsetti and Sapphire.
Okay.
Conway, a wealthy lingerie designer,
Yeah.
is grappling with some serious emotional baggage,
Interesting.
while Sapphire, the woman he purchased for $100 million.
$100 million.
$100 million.
Right. Craves respect and equality.
Wow.
That's going to cause some friction.
Yeah, $100 million, that's a lot of pressure on any relationship.
I mean, we're talking about a world where possessiveness and desire kind of collide head on.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm finding it particularly interesting that Conway, despite his wealth and his dominance,
Yes.
seems to be wrestling with some deep-seated insecurities.
Right.
You mentioned emotional baggage. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So, remember Conway's family from the Button series?
Right.
Their influence, particularly his father's legacy, weighs heavily on him.
Oh, interesting.
There's actually a scene
Okay.
where he hides Sapphire from his parents during their visit,
Oh, wow.
almost as if he's ashamed of her,
Really?
which really sheds light on his fear of disappointing his family
Okay.
and how it really shapes his actions.
That is so interesting. It's
Yeah.
like he's trapped
Well,
between his desire for Sapphire and the expectations of his family.
Exactly.
How does Sapphire navigate this whole complicated situation?
Yes.
I mean, she's not exactly known for being a pushover, right?
No. Sapphire is fierce. She is determined. She refuses to be treated as a possession
Good for her.
and strategically leverages Conway's fear of his family's disapproval
Oh, wow.
to gain more freedom
Smart.
and respect.
She's playing the game.
She understands the power dynamics at play,
Yeah.
uses them to her advantage.
Wow.
It's a brilliant example of how Sky empowers her female characters.
I love that.
Yeah,
Sounds like she's turning the tables on him a little bit, using his weaknesses against him.
for sure.
That is some serious power play.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about those Goodreads reviews.
Okay.
Because it seems like there's a whole spectrum of opinions out there,
Yeah.
swirling around beauty and lingerie.
Right.
Some readers are absolutely smitten with the romance,
Mm-hmm.
while others are, well, let's say, less enthusiastic.
Less enthusiastic.
What is the overall vibe that you're getting?
It's a fascinating mix.
Okay.
You have those who devour the book for its steamy romance,
Mhm.
applaud Sapphire's strength. Then you have those who find Conway's controlling behavior a little problematic,
Right.
or criticize the plot for being repetitive.
Okay. Yeah, so all over the place.
It seems like Sky isn't afraid to push boundaries,
Right.
explore those morally gray areas, which inevitably sparks debate.
Yeah, I mean, especially romance. A story like this, it's intensely personal,
Yes,
and readers are bringing their own experiences and expectations to the table.
for sure.
What are some of the specific reactions you've come across?
Yeah.
Give me the good, the bad, and the, well, let's just say interesting.
Well, one reviewer raved about the emotional connection between Conway and Sapphire,
Okay.
highlighting the smut factor.
Okay.
You know, those explicit scenes that really turn up the heat.
Yeah.
For them, the intense physical connection added another layer to their emotional bond.
So we got team steamy romance over here.
Seems steamy romance.
What about the other side of the spectrum?
On the flip side, we have a reader who felt the writing was a bit mechanical and found Conway's character unlikable.
Interesting.
They even questioned his motives for fidelity,
Oh, wow.
wondering if it was genuine or simply rooted in Sapphire's physical beauty.
Okay.
It raises an interesting question about the nature of possession
Yeah.
versus genuine love, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, and that's something we definitely need to delve deeper into.
Yeah.
It seems like Penelope Sky is walking a tightrope here,
Right.
creating a character who is both alluring
Yes.
and potentially problematic.
For sure.
Okay, so we've got the steamy romance.
Yes.
We've got the strong female lead.
Uh-huh.
We've got the morally ambiguous hero.
Right.
And then there's this whole Barsetti family legacy
Looming
looming in the background.
in the background.
Can you remind us how beauty in lingerie connects to Penelope Sky's larger world?
So the Lingerie series is a spin-off of her popular Buttons series,
Okay.
which followed the previous generation of the Barsetti family.
Right, right.
Remember Conway's father, Crow? Well, several reviewers have drawn parallels
Interesting.
between father and son.
Okay.
They're both described as stubborn, powerful figures
Uh-huh.
who struggle with expressing their emotions.
Oh, this is where it gets really juicy.
Yeah.
So are we seeing a pattern here?
Right.
Is Conway destined to repeat his father's mistakes
Yes.
when it comes to love and relationships?
That's a question that's been swirling around in my mind as well.
I can see why.
Are these ingrained behaviors passed down through generations?
Yeah.
Or can Conway break free from the Barsetti mold and forge his own path?
That is a fantastic point, and it sets the stage perfectly for a deeper exploration of these characters and their motivations.
Absolutely.
But for now, let's take a quick breather and recap what we've uncovered so far in Beauty and Lingerie.
Okay.
We've got Conway and Sapphire locked in this intense push and pull dynamic,
Yes.
navigating a world of wealth, desire, and control. We've seen how Sapphire refuses to be just a beautiful object, strategically challenging Conway's dominance.
She's not having it.
And then there's the looming legacy of the Persetti family,
Right.
hinting at a cycle of behavior that Conway may or may not break free from.
Big questions.
So much to unpack.
I know.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
But hold on tight, because in part 2,
Yes.
we are diving even deeper into those Goodreads reviews, dissecting those contrasting opinions,
It's all good.
uncovering the layers of meaning hidden within this provocative story.
It's going to be good.
You won't want to miss it. Welcome back to our deep dive into Penelope Sky's Beauty and Lingerie.
Yes.
In part 1, we kind of got a little taste of the fiery romance between Conway and Sapphire.
Right.
Now let's really sink our teeth into these Goodreads reviews and see what we can learn.
I love it.
You know, those contrasting reactions?
Yeah.
They really highlight
Absolutely.
what makes this book so captivating.
Yeah.
It's not just a fluffy romance.
Right.
It delves into some really complex themes.
Definitely.
And it challenges reader expectations.
That's right.
Okay, so speaking of challenging expectations,
Yes.
we touched on a review where a reader enjoyed the abundance of smut in the book.
The smut.
So for those who may be unfamiliar with this term,
Right.
it basically refers to those explicit sensual scenes
Yes.
that are a hallmark of certain romance subgenres.
Exactly.
Can you talk a bit more about why this element might appeal to some readers
Sure.
while turning others off?
It's all about personal preference
Okay.
and what people are looking for in a story.
Right.
For some, those steamy scenes heighten the emotional intensity,
Okay.
create a sense of intimacy between the characters.
Yeah.
They're looking for that escapism
Mm-hmm.
and fantasy fulfillment that comes with the passion of romance.
Makes sense.
However, for others,
Yeah.
those same scenes might feel gratuitous
Okay.
or detract from the emotional development of the story.
Interesting. Okay, so kind of a mixed bag.
It depends.
Yeah, you mentioned that some readers found the plot repetitive. Repetition in romance novels.
Oh,
That's a tricky thing, right?
it is.
Some readers actually enjoy the familiarity
Yes.
of certain tropes and plot structures,
Absolutely.
while others crave more originality and complexity.
Yeah.
Why might repetition be a negative
Okay.
for some romance readers?
Well, repetition can be a double-edged sword.
Okay.
When done well, it can create a sense of comfort and predictability,
Right.
allowing readers to indulge in familiar fantasies.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
if the plot points feel too formulaic or predictable,
Okay.
it can lead to a sense of boredom or
Right.
frustration,
I can see that.
especially for those who are looking for something fresh
Yeah.
and unexpected.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
It's all about striking that balance
Yes, it
between
is.
familiarity and novelty.
Exactly.
Now, let's dig into some specific examples from those reviews.
Okay.
You mentioned a reader who absolutely loved
Yes.
the alpha male trope. Uh-huh.
In Penelope Sky's books.
Right.
So this archetype,
Yes.
often characterized by dominance,
Uh-huh.
possessiveness,
Right.
and a strong sense of control,
Okay.
is pretty common in the romance genre.
For sure.
What makes this particular trope so appealing to some readers?
Yeah.
Especially in Sky's work.
Well, the appeal of the alpha male
Yeah.
is complex
Okay.
and often rooted in a desire
Mm-hmm.
for a strong protective partner.
Interesting.
For some readers, it fulfills a fantasy of being swept off their feet
Okay.
by a powerful, assertive man
Uh-huh.
who will take charge and make them feel secure.
Right.
There's an element of escapism
Okay.
and surrender to that fantasy,
Makes sense.
allowing readers to let go of everyday anxieties
Uh-huh.
and embrace a world where they're cherished and protected.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I can also see how this trope can raise some red flags.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially in a story like Beauty and Lingerie,
Right.
where the power dynamic is already so charged. Very much so.
You mentioned a reviewer who found Conway's character unlikable and questioned his motives. What are some potential pitfalls of the alpha male trope?
Okay.
And do you think Penelope Sky navigates these effectively in her portrayal of Conway?
That's a great question.
It's a big question.
One of the biggest criticisms of the alpha male trope
Okay.
is that it can romanticize unhealthy behaviors
Okay.
like possessiveness, jealousy, and control.
Right?
The line between a strong, protective partner
Uh-huh.
and a controlling, manipulative one
Right.
can be quite thin.
Yeah.
And it's important for authors to tread carefully.
I agree.
In Conway's case,
Yeah.
I think Sky walks that line quite deliberately.
Okay.
She doesn't shy away from portraying his flaws
Mm-hmm.
and the darker aspects of his personality,
Right.
which adds complexity to his character.
Okay.
Whether she navigates these effectively
Yeah.
is ultimately up to the individual reader's interpretation
Yeah.
and comfort level.
So true. Different readers will have different tolerances and expectations. But what I find fascinating
Yeah.
is that Conway's character,
Uh-huh.
despite his dominant nature,
Right.
is also portrayed as emotionally wounded
Yes.
and influenced by his family's legacy.
Right.
This makes him a much more layered and intriguing character
Okay.
than just the typical alpha male stereotype.
For sure.
So you've got all this complexity
Right.
exactly
That is true.
going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And speaking of Conway's family,
Yes.
let's circle back
Okay.
to that intriguing connection to the Buttons series.
Right.
You mentioned several reviewers drawing parallels
Yes.
between Conway and his father, Crow.
Mm-hmm.
What specific similarities did they notice?
Yeah.
And how does this intergenerational connection add depth to the story?
Well, many readers observed
Okay.
that both Conway and Crow are depicted as strong, stubborn men
Uh-huh.
who struggle with vulnerability
Yeah.
and emotional expression.
It's like they're afraid to show their feelings or something.
They have a tendency to shut down emotionally
Yeah.
and exert control as a way of coping with their feelings.
Interesting.
This parallel adds a layer of complexity to Conway's character,
Oh?
suggesting that his behavior might be influenced by learned patterns from his upbringing.
So like nature versus nurture.
It raises questions about nature versus nurture
Right.
and whether he's destined to repeat his father's mistakes
Wow.
or forge his own path in love and relationships.
That's huge.
Big questions.
It's almost as if there's this unspoken legacy weighing down on him.
Right?
A blueprint for love and relationships.
Exactly.
That he's both drawn to and trying to resist.
Yes.
This intergenerational dynamic adds a whole new level of intrigue to the story, wouldn't you say?
It certainly does.
Yeah.
It invites us to consider how
Yeah.
our family histories and
Right.
past experiences shape our present relationships.
Yeah. Are we doomed to repeat the patterns we've witnessed?
Really?
Or can we break free and create something new?
It's a question that resonates with many readers on a personal level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a question that Penelope Sky seems to be exploring quite deliberately in this series.
For sure.
It's not just about the steamy romance.
Yeah.
It's about the deeper
Yes.
psychological and emotional underpinnings of these characters
Absolutely.
and their choices.
That's a journey.
Now, let's talk about something
Okay.
that really got readers talking.
Yes.
That bombshell ending.
Right.
A rival lingerie company enters the scene,
Uh-huh.
offering Sapphire a tempting proposition
Oh, yeah.
that could potentially pull her away from Conway's control.
It's a game changer.
Why do you think Penelope Sky chose to end the book on such a dramatic cliffhanger?
Cliffhangers are a powerful tool for authors,
Right.
especially in a series. In this
Uh-huh.
case,
Yeah.
it serves several purposes.
Okay.
First, it obviously leaves readers desperate to know what happens next,
Oh.
ensuring they'll pick up the next book in the series.
Right. Got to keep them hooked.
But more importantly,
Yeah.
it throws the power dynamic between Conway and Sapphire into question.
Right.
Yeah.
This rival company offers Sapphire something
Yes.
that Conway, despite his wealth and possessiveness, hasn't been able to give her
Right.
true agency and independence.
Uh-huh.
It was like a total game changer.
Exactly.
And by putting Sapphire in a position to make a choice,
Yes.
Sky forces both her and Conway to confront their true desires
Absolutely.
and motivations.
For sure.
Will Sapphire choose the security of Conway's world?
Right.
Or will she embrace this opportunity for freedom and self-discovery?
That's the question.
And how will Conway react to this challenge to his control?
Exactly.
Will he try to hold on tighter?
Yeah.
Or will he finally realize that true love requires letting go?
Those are the questions that will undoubtedly keep readers on the edge of their seats
I bet.
until the next book is released.
Okay, well, before we get too carried away with speculation,
Yes.
let's take a step back
Okay.
and recap what we've gleaned from these insightful Goodreads reviews.
All right.
So, we've seen that Beauty and Lingerie is a polarizing book,
Yes.
sparking passionate discussions about the complexities of romance,
Uh-huh.
power dynamics,
For sure.
and the influence of family legacies.
It's a lot.
While some readers revel in the steamy romance and the allure of the alpha male,
Right.
others are more critical of the potentially problematic aspects of these tropes
Yes.
and crave more originality in the plot.
It's true.
We've also explored how Penelope Sky cleverly utilizes elements like smut and the alpha male trope
Uh-huh.
to create a compelling, albeit controversial, reading experience
For sure.
that keeps readers engaged and emotionally invested.
Absolutely.
And by connecting this story to the larger Barsetti family saga,
Yes.
she adds layers of depth
There.
and intrigue, prompting us to consider how past experiences and family patterns can influence our present relationships.
Absolutely.
But there's one final thread we need to unravel
Okay.
in part 3.
Yes.
We will wrap up our deep dive into Beauty in Lingerie
Right.
with a thought-provoking question
Go.
that will have you pondering the implications of this story
Okay.
long after you've finished listening.
I like it.
Stay tuned. We're back for the final part of our deep dive into Beauty in Lingerie.
Right.
It's been, we've covered so much ground.
Yeah.
From Conway's possessiveness
Yes.
and Sapphire's strength
Right.
to, those steamy scenes.
Oh, yeah.
The shadow of the Barsetti family.
It's a lot.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has.
And what strikes me is that this isn't just a love story.
It's not.
It's a story that
Yeah.
kind of forces us to confront
Yeah.
some really uncomfortable truth
Absolutely.
about control, autonomy,
Mm-hmm.
and what it means to truly love someone. Absolutely. It makes you think, right?
It does.
You've got this wealthy, powerful man
Yes.
who buys a woman for $100 million.
Yeah.
It's like something out of a modern fairy tale,
Right.
but then reality sets in.
And then, and I think that's why those reader reactions are so diverse.
Right.
Penelope Sky isn't shying away
No.
from those morally gray areas.
Right.
She's presenting a relationship
Mm.
that's both captivating and problematic,
Yeah.
and she leaves it to the reader
Right.
to
Yeah.
grapple with those complexities.
Absolutely. Some readers, they're swept up in the passion,
Yes.
the fantasy of it all,
Right.
while others are left questioning the ethics,
Uh-huh.
the power imbalances.
Yeah.
Makes for some really fascinating discussions.
It does. That's the beauty of a book like this.
Yeah.
It sparks conversations, it challenges our assumptions,
Right.
and it forces us to confront our own beliefs about love,
Mm-hmm.
relationships,
Uh-huh.
power.
Okay, let's talk about that cliffhanger ending.
Yes.
That rival lingerie company
Right.
sweeping in with their offer to Sapphire.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like a real turning point
Okay.
in the story.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Sapphire has a choice.
Exactly.
She's no longer
Uh.
completely under Conway's control.
She has options.
She has options.
And those options force both her and Conway
Right.
to reevaluate their relationship.
It's like she's finally being given a chance to define herself on her own terms.
Yes.
No longer Conway's possession,
Right.
but a woman
A woman with her own desires
with her own desires and ambitions.
and ambitions.
And that raises so many questions.
It does.
Will Sapphire choose independence?
Right.
Or will she stay with Conway?
Yeah.
And how will Conway handle this?
Exactly.
This challenge to his control?
Yeah. Will he try to tighten his grip?
Will he try to tighten his grip?
Or will he realize that true love requires letting go?
Those are some big questions.
Mhm.
And I think the answers lie not just in the next book,
Right.
but also in understanding Conway's family history.
Yeah.
Remember how we talked about those parallels between Conway and his father, Crow?
Absolutely.
Both men stubborn,
Yeah.
powerful,
Uh-huh.
and struggling with emotional vulnerability.
Yes. Big time.
And that brings us to the thought-provoking question.
Yes.
We promised you.
All right, hit me.
Knowing Conway's family history and his father's own journey with love, will Conway follow in his father's footsteps? Or will he break the cycle and truly embrace Sapphire as an equal?
Wow, what a question.
That's a powerful question.
It is.
To leave our listeners with.
It makes you realize this story isn't just about a passionate romance.
It's not.
It's about legacy.
Right.
About breaking free from harmful patterns.
Yeah.
And about finding love on equal footing.
And I think that's what makes Beauty in Lingerie so compelling.
Absolutely.
It's a story that stays with you. Long after you finish reading,
For sure.
It prompts you to reflect on your own beliefs about love, power, the choices we make in relationships.
It's deep.
So if you're looking for a romance novel that will challenge you, spark conversations, and leave you thinking, then dive into the world of Beauty in Lingerie.
Highly recommend it.
Just be prepared for a wild ride.
Buckle up.
And always remember, literature is at its best when it prompts us to think critically.
For sure.
Question our assumptions.
Absolutely.
And engage in meaningful dialogue.
Yes.
Until next time, happy reading.
Happy reading, everyone.